Hello and welcome everybody to Week 3, Day 2 of the North American Challengers League, where we have more games ahead of us, all best of twos throughout the day. I'll be your host, you can call me Kangas, and joining me on the Ball Gang Desk Plus Beatdown, we got Desterix, who I gotta say is actually gonna be the only baldcaster on the desk today. I don't know if you realize that. But Beatdown, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you, fellow hair-having person?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. It's great having hair. It's a good time. Definitely, Desert. Ooh.
Oh.
The CLG drip looks sick, though. I do like the CLG logo on there. That's great. We're gonna get a lot of mileage. It does. It does. I didn't even think about that. We're getting a lot of mileage out of that wig throughout the split, by the way. I'm going to be using that for a lot of things. But, of course, we have, like I said, a full day of games. You're old. See, that's the best thing. I've learned this, and Mr. sized his camera taller than me coming into this. I got to raise myself up a little bit. Anytime you call me bald, I can just say you're old. It's the best comeback that I got at this point. But it's not all about us. The show is, of course, about the players. So we wanted to take some time to highlight some of what the players in the community have been talking about after yesterday's game. So before me and Desterix get too off the rails, let's take a look at some of the tweets from the community coming up here. Talk to me about this one. Beatdown. Sketch. He's going into his first games, right? First games as a sport.
Yeah. Exactly. He's just starting it out. He finally gets to play the role. He said he felt like he could really succeed. And I mean, some of the best supports we have here in this scene end up being role swaps anyway. So, I'm happy for him. Let's go, Sketch.
Excited because also, Desterix, there's a new player coming in for CLG Faith that I know that you are a pretty big fan of as well.
Yes. I'm pretty hyped up on that one. Joining us from the NBA, Aaron will be hopping on to CLG Faith. Yeah, from the NBA. We picked him reference. Up. Okay. I'm very disappointed in both of you right now. Obviously, you don't keep up with your collegiate memes. It's all right.
You did send me a I'm excited for Aaron just because I want to interview him. He seems like such a meme lord, and it's going to be fun. But Sketch, of course, will be going to support to play with Aaron in the 80K role. Take a look at the next tweet, though, as we got to get through these. Moose Hater, baby! Another pop-off performance yesterday, picking up a 2-0, and you know that he played Garen yet again.
Yup. You know it already, and he tore apart the Rift with it. I mean, at this point, it's pretty much set. You got to ban Garen against this guy. If he's allowed to play it, he's just going to style across the entirety of your team. He's already talking the most trash as possible on Twitter on top of that. And I got to love Moose Hater for it.
Yeah, Beta, I think Moose Hater's already coming ahead as like the most smack-talking player that we got. But I think for good reason, because they were getting smacks themselves before going into the season with the preseason power rankings from the community. We didn't do any official ones on the broadcast, but a lot of people had wildcard low, and Rafa, I think, says it well. I think there were a lot of wrong opinions about wildcard.
Yeah, I think you could say that. I think what Mark says is probably fair. Just the fact that we have to really recontextualize what we think, especially of wildcard. They 2-0 Cloud9 Challengers yesterday. And Cloud9, like, you look at the players, you look at how they've been playing up until now, we consider them to be one of the best teams, and it wasn't for no reason. So for the fact that they beat them 2-0, playing their style, I think is a statement victory where, it isn't just about being one of the top provisional teams or the top provisional team. Now they've solidified themselves at the top of this league.
Take a look at the next tweet, because, of course, there's a couple more things said. It was a lot of bangers yesterday. Woobley, who, of course, is all of our boss, was watching. If you're watching right now, Woobley, yeah, agreed. There were some really insane games yesterday. We were all treated, so cool to see him tweeting about that. Let's take a look at the next one, though, because we got to get through these and get into the meat of the show. Desterix, we got a four-player interview yesterday with FlyQuest. That was super fun.
Why are you throwing this at me? This was your interview that you ran. I mean, I was only sad that we don't have Masu there. 4 players, missing the one golden piece who's just popping off despite all that ping. But that was a pretty fun interview you did, Kangas.
Masu will save NA, and the rest of the team, it was awesome to catch up with them and hear their thoughts of playing with him remote and how everything's coming together for them. But, of course, we also have Yukino saying, GG easy 2-0 today. Can't wait to poop on Cloud9 tomorrow. The youngest player, second youngest player, technically, because I think Sniper is still the youngest player. Slightly younger. Choice words here, Beatdown.
Yeah, I mean, his Twitter ad says it all. Damn, Johnny. Because that's a tweet.
Damn, Johnny, indeed. Well, outside of just what I actually saw yesterday, we also had some really fun gameplay last week. One in particular, Insanity in the mid lane piloted Udyr. So we on the broadcast, when cool things are played, we like to, hype it up a little bit, but also not leave ourselves out of the conversation. We had a couple of our own casters try out the pick and have Insanity react to it. So let's take a look.
Hey guys, I'm Insanity, and I played Udyr mid last week in the NACL, and I'm going to rate some casters' performances for when they're first timing it. Joshi starting. Don't like the runes if he's playing mid. I don't know about the cleanse. Not bad. I like the invade. I mean, he has Rengar and pretty strong bot lane level 1. Gotta use W more often though when he's trading like this. Does he kill him? I think Udyr wins these. Yep. Of course, Udyr wins these. If you get Elder on this champion, it's so messed up because Demonic actually keeps re-proccing the Elder buff, so it'll just keep doing like infinite damage to them. Not a bad game. See what Rafa's cooking up. So for this, Phase Rush is this is not a bad page. I think Conditioning and Overgrowth is better, but I do think this is a matchup where I think Udyr is really OP in. Well, where's the Udyr, man? Yeah, I mean, this whole team's asking that right now. I mean, he is 1-3, so he really is channeling my energy. This looks winning. Surely. Except, actually, he doesn't have Demonic, so he's actually kind of just useless. Not the worst gameplay I've ever seen. It's not bad, especially if you're first timing the champion. The game goes this long, it's not the most fun time. Let me see his runes. Futures Market, oh my. I don't know about that, bro. No, W, yes. Yeah, good. Well, he knows how to live at least. Oh. I guess he's just the GOAT. This was good, actually. He used the Z. So he doesn't get slowed or feared. Oh, he's just beating him down with the bear stance. I can respect this. This guy's just sending a message. Oh, it just ends? Just ends like that? Okay, magical. Let's see. Divine Sunderer. He's 1-6. He's 1-6. I respect this. He's soaking so much pressure right now. Now he can just E out. Oh. Run. He's out. He's out. Press W. Oh, so close actually. He's 2-11, but he's carrying. No offense to his team, but it's all Udyr's. All because of Udyr. He won in the game. He kept the mental strong with the positive energy. I mean, honestly, the champ's not as easy as it seems. It seems kind of super straightforward. Oh, I'm just gonna run at this guy. But I don't know. You don't really know his damage. You just need to test his limits and figure out what he's actually strong at and what skirmishes he's good at. Oh, that's pretty entertaining though.
Happy that we can entertain Insanity with some of our gameplay. Beatdown, you were on the video. You actually piloted real quick. What was your rating of Udyr mid?
It's hard. That was literally my first time ever playing the champion. And I mean, I think he says it in the video. It's a little more complicated than it might seem. You gotta, especially with the new Udyr, there's a lot of, you gotta really understand what the abilities do and try to know when you want to use your passive.
Yeah, juggling them around.
But
yeah.
you know what? Out of all those clips, Insanity only called yours the GOAT. So
true.
Good job.
He did say beating him down a bear stance. I respect it.
That was literally the worst laning phase I've ever experienced. My God, it was so hard. Because I'm literally reading the abilities because I'm like, God damn, what do these abilities do? Oh, and I was maxing the wrong skill. Oh my God.
I'm so happy that you weren't the worst gameplay because he flamed Rafa the most. That's hilarious that you were first timing. But of course, that was last week. We got to bring our attention to this week now because we have a very hype match today that we get to watch on this stream with our super heavyweight smackdown.
10 players. One match. Super heavyweight smackdown. Finally a smackdown the whole family can enjoy. Bring your mama, bring your auntie, even great grandma Bertha, because this week's event is a brawl for all. forward with the legacy of developing talent, and this roster doesn't lack for that. 3 players with LCS experience forming its core. A jungler who knows no fear, living up to the expectations set by those who came before. And a Korean mid laner with 20 solo kills in 8 games, whose ceiling is nowhere in sight. Pro teams should quake as semi-pros crumble. Cloud9 Challengers! And in the blue corner, following the precedence of their LCS team, combining rookie talents with experience, their top side is the 2 youngest players in the league. But don't you dare underestimate them, or they'll send you to the retirement home. Enabling them from the rest of the map, 2 Oceanic players with a good-looking future, and an LEC first team All-Pro ADC. This team isn't just competing for the title, they're competing for the future of the region. 100 Thieves Challengers! Bring your family, bring your dog, bring your whole damn house. This weekend, everyone is invited to brawl at the Super Heavyweight SmackDown.
TSMC, your vocal performance is getting better. I'm happy I got like 20 minutes of footage of you in front of a green screen just doing random stuff, because I think that's really going to elevate these videos.
Steve just set up that camera with the green screen and was like, do this, do that, swing a mic around, do questionable things that shouldn't be airing on the broadcast. Okay, we can move on now, Steve.
It wasn't even a mic. It was like a gym handle with a cord through it. Just incredible. That's production, everybody. But that is our Super Heavyweight SmackDown, because 100 Thieves versus Cloud9 should be hype. It's one of the best rosters that we have in the league, who might have gone 0-2 yesterday, but it doesn't matter. Still looking good up against the team with the youngest players. So 100 Thieves Challengers got their work cut out for them. Let's bring it up to the standings up next so that you can catch up on where the league is at right now. Cincinnati Fear. They got that 2-0 yesterday, and they are looking solid beatdown. The #1 team as of now, obviously, not at the end of week 3, but at the end of day 1 of week 3, currently they're in the top.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say they are looking more than solid, Eric. I mean, Wildcard wasn't the only wild upset we saw yesterday. Cincinnati Fear also 2-0 Evil Geniuses Challengers, and that was the debut of Ryoma, a player we've been all very excited about for making his return to the scene. But so far, Fear stand on top, only team with 9 wins.
I mean, are we done, like, kind of sleeping on some of these provisional teams? Because I know week to week we've been saying they're going to fall off, you know, teams are going to figure them out. No, they're improving, they're getting better, and these standings show it right here. I mean, Cincinnati Fear, 9-3, leading the board in week 3, mind you. Week 3, that's a great dub.
Incredible performance from the provisional team there. We won't get to see them today on stream, unfortunately, but we will see if Team Liquid Challengers can overtake their current spot, because if they pick up a 2-0, that would put them at 10-2 and ahead of Cincinnati Fear in the standings. They're up against Team Liquid Faith, but first we have Golden Guardians versus TSM, both challenger rosters, and then 100 Thieves versus Cloud9 Challengers. We already hyped that up with the Super Heavyweight SmackDown. That is a beautiful way to end the day. But bringing our attention to the first matchup, Golden Guardians versus TSM, I want to start with TSM Challengers. Coming in with a lot of expectation based on some of the star power that they are packing. We have seen strong individual performances, but beatdown in general, they are lower in the standings than maybe some of us expected, given kind of some of the names that you're seeing in front of you.
Right, and I think we all agreed at the start of the split, even though we see a lot of returning names with a lot of experience. I believe it was Svenskeren in an interview who said that he was trying to, like, realistically, this is their way back to the LCS. I mean, it's in the stream name as well, so they are serious about trying to go pro once more. And I think, honestly, TSM as a roster is very interesting to me, because as time goes on, I mean, I even got to talk to Doxa, saying how he feels he's been improving week to week, and how he feels the team is getting better and more used to each other overall, with him being one of the newest additions. And now they recently got Dragku. I think this team has been actually improving, even though they got 2-0'd by Team Liquid Challengers yesterday. Watching back and looking at the games, especially game 1, I still think that was a really strong showing for TSM, especially Svenskeren. And I think that's promising for how the rest of the split is going to go. And even Doxa said week 1, early parts of the split, they don't matter because they believe they can win it all.
I mean, Doxa is someone we've been waiting for the next step in their career to come for a while. Winthrop 2021 won C-Lol back then, that was great. But we saw a lot of stagnant moments with Doxa, both in TSM Amateur, EGP. This roster has a lot to really build up Doxa and get Doxa to that next step. It feels like he's on the cusp right now, and we're just waiting for it. This could be a big match for him.
Young on the opposite side of the rift is his opposition, and this is exciting because Young has come into the league roaring. Like, he is marking his territory right now and a threat to other mid laners for such a young player, or rather new player to this level of competition. And it's cool to see this Golden Guardians Challengers team, this core, kind of come together. It feels like they're only scaling up as the season has progressed, and Young versus Doxa in particular is the matchup that we want to really focus on here, just because Doxa is still developing. He's reached a certain level. We're looking for him to push through. Young, it feels like we're just starting to, like, we're just beginning his hero arc right now, Deserix.
Yeah, I mean, one of the main reasons we're comparing these two players is it feels like they're on the same exact trajectory, just Dox is behind and Young has that step ahead. Had some LCS time, wasn't the best, but killed JoJo, outlaned Dplex. Like, what else could you really ask for right there? And still looking good on the season with Golden Guardians Challengers. I think Young is someone you really shouldn't slouch on, especially when you get those casting games going. The last 2 games, by the way, 16, 1, and 18 on the casting. So unashamed to take a lot of these melee matchups and show off.
Oh my god, sorry. That play, like, gets me. I picked that clip, and every time I watch it, like, that was nasty. And the thing I want to add to, Eric, is that, like, this has been these last couple of weeks have been a couple firsts for Young. Not just at this level, but of course, you touched on it. He was on the LCS, and yeah, it didn't get the result that you want, but I think he laned very well, and seeing that kind of confidence for a player who, I mean, just the week before his LCS debut, because he was subbing, it just showed so much confidence in how he ended up playing the game. Even the plays he made that didn't work was like, wow. I mean, he's trying stuff.
A big thing for me with Young is that he was scrimming mostly with the LCS team. He said he didn't even scrim with the Challengers team leading in to the second week of play. I don't even think the first week of play, because he had been he knew a week and a half ahead of time he was going to play on LCS because, of course, their mid laner Gory was not in. So now he's had a full week and a half of scrim time with this core. Obviously, that will elevate their synergy and hopefully make the gameplay even better going forward. But special shout out to Dragku. I think we kind of glossed over him a little bit on the TSM side, but he is here. So their support from Oceania. The man literally named Dragon. That is his name, according to his wiki page. I got to confirm that if we can get him for an interview afterwards. We need like an actual voice line of him saying, yep, my name is officially Dragon. But as a player coming in, I think that this should also be good news for the TSM side, because they've been struggling a little bit, but they have been dealing with a lot of substitutes. Their support has kind of been rotating a little bit. Shout out to Rox for stepping in while he was needed, but what do we think about odds, Beatdown Desterix? If either of you want to have a strong opinion on this, I'm actually happy to hear both of them. Dragku with TSM.
You know what? You need consistency in your roster to develop consistency on the field. So, it's great that Draku's going to be there. I don't have the biggest opinion. I just know that he played LCO with the Chiefs, was a strong, engaged player over there. Could work well with the rest of the team. Svenskeren has been doing a great job of being the front line. So, overall, my expectations are a little bit up there for Draku, but I got to see him on the Rift more.
Okay. And you're talking about opinions on Draku specifically, right? Because I watched him yesterday in the TLC match, and honestly, I think he's pretty good. Just going off of yesterday, I liked the movement from him. I liked the clear intent with the things he was trying to do. And I mean, my expectations from that at least are pretty good.
Finished first place in the LCO multiple times, and also a role swap was a top laner. So if we like the role swap supports, he's following that line. I'm here to Pick Band is ready though, so I'm going to pass it over to Deserix and Beatdown to get us into game number 1.
All right, you're bald, Kangas, and now first game. I want to take it back to the mid lane right now, Beatdown. Even with that notice we're hopping off of. I mean, Doxa, we talked a little bit about before the game. You feel like he's starting to hit that stride. I feel like he's barely starting to get in that position. I mean, there's one thing we can both agree on. He's a player that's willing to learn and develop. You saw that interview with Svenskeren. Did have a lot of talks there about Doxa's willingness to improve.
For sure. And I think he's very, very motivated. You saw what he was willing to do. We even watching his stream during week 1, we found out that he is living in Saskiel's basement. His old teammate from Winthrop, because they are on the West Coast. So he can, of course, play on reduced ping and not have any issues that we're seeing on other challenger players so far this split. So I think both of these mid laners, it's great to see them in this space where they can improve, because we all agree that I think it's fair to say their shot is a little overdue. And now we can see this potential come to fruition now.
Now, another matchup I'm going to be watching for is going to be that top side, because when we're talking about good performers for TSM specifically, Hanser has been popping off pretty well. Highest gold difference at 15, highest XP difference at 15. You can chalk a little bit that up. Last 4 games have been Cassante, give or take what you want. Still doing phenomenally in the lane.
Yeah, I think Hanser is probably one of the most consistent players, at least so far going into week 3 on this roster. And he's just been a bright spot from start till now. And I think that's something we're probably going to continue seeing, mostly playing Cassante, but we've seen a few other things. He's good Jax, Renekton. He draws a lot of bans second rotation, because he's a player you don't want having those strong blind picks.
All right, first pick coming out for Golden Guardians Challengers. They're going to take that Sejuani, something Svenskeren has been playing quite a bit of, but the thing that Sven has been pivoting towards after that pick comes through is that Elise. That's going to be locked in alongside this Caitlyn for TSM.
Yeah, so I mean, already we're seeing a lot of early game power just off those 2 picks from TSM Challengers, and I like it. I've been liking the Elise play I've been seeing from Svenskeren so far, and I like that we're seeing that shift come through. I mean, she's popping up a lot more in a lot of our games and other levels of play as well, so it's good to see that one continue. As for Golden Guardians, no way they just picked Jax on 2?
Ooh.
Wow.
Okay, that's throwing down the gauntlet quite a bit, because we did highlight Hanser as being one of the better players for TSM, consistent performer over there on that top side. You're giving counterpick over to Hanser.
Yeah, I think it's because of all the Cassante play we've seen come through. TSM on red side very commonly will pick Cassante for him on 4 if it's available, and I think during that second rotation, they take away things like the Jax. So for concept, it's just in preparation for giving him a matchup I think he's going to be comfortable with, because we know Jax is something that can play well into that champion, and that's got to be the read that Golden Guardians have going into this.
All right, so first phase of the draft now done. For TSM, I mean, I'm going to look in the bottom lane to see how much they really try and play down there. Svenskeren can set up some pretty good dive, but more importantly, Wild Turtle being on that Caitlyn, you get the range advantage. This next set of picks is going to be pretty big for Golden Guardians, depending on what they go for their bottom lane. Already banning away the Varus is going to be TSM's response.
Yeah, and that's what happens. You pick both your solo laners because you prioritize having that one up and available for you and not getting banned out. And you lose those good lane matchups here. So they must have a plan in mind. It could be the Zeri, since Zeri and Lulu so far are available, and that could be something they just lock in towards the end. You're just going to have a tough laning phase if that ends up coming through. But we may see the Lux ban as well for Golden Guardians.
Oh, we do got that Zeri ban, so that will not be on the field
that's right.
right now.
Never mind.
TSM did take that away. They're also going to take away the Draven from Array. So, 4 marksman bans targeted towards Array. I mean, Array has been a great team fighter, been great at positioning for a lot of these fights, so really trying to make sure that Array is going to have a bad laning phase, so he can't have as big of an impact in that team fight phase for GGC.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the criticisms we've had for Array so far. If he's not able to get leads early on in the laning phase, he struggles to play from behind. So this is already a good start for TSM, as long as they get this Caitlyn rolling. But of course, Lux banned away. I mean, understandably, very powerful matchup, but there are still other options you could go for here. But instead, they want to pick the Renekton right away. I mean, there was no danger of it going anywhere, but they're waiting for last pick for support.
Yeah, they're going to save counterpick on support. Interesting one to see go through. But this does shape up a pretty solid, aggressive top side of the map for TSM. If they do want to play and just aggress onto Concept being onto this Jax pick, Golden Guardians Challengers, next picks to come through, it's going to be their bottom lane. I want to know what they're going to grab. Jhin is a pretty big one for Array. 100 Thieves next did get a lot of play onto that. It's mostly about the positioning in the team fights and getting those backline curtain calls. What is going to support it, though, Beat?
I mean, the Seraphine could technically still be a lock-in. You have really good team fight with a pick like that. Poke, but I mean, they go for something similar with the Heimerdinger. You still have a good amount of range. Poke, and Prismal is going to have that opportunity to affect other parts of the map. Array on the Jhin means he's going to be on more of a utility-focused pick, but should still be a pick that I think, considering what's been banned so far, should help him get through the laning phase decently well. I'm curious what the support last pick is going to be. Dragku, we've seen mostly engage picks, both here and when he was in LCO. So I'm wondering if... Oh. No way! You are not Caitlyn supporting, bro. You're not serious. Oh my God. I literally... Wow.
I want to know what's going to go on in the bottom lane right now. This is Wild Turtle Dreku throwing down the gauntlet. They're saying we're going to run Sivir and Caitlyn, the Caitlyn support. How do you feel about it, B?
I mean, you're stunningly lacking on engage. It's probably good because Caitlyn has really good range and you can, auto a lot. Wow, I don't know. I've never actually seen it. I've only seen clips of Keria playing it. And I'm of the opinion that unless you're Keria, maybe this pick isn't for you. But Dragku, of course, is here to prove me wrong. I think in lane, I can kind of see how this will work because of range. You have a lot of poke with the Sivir and everything like that. But I think you need to get this early game going because the only CC you're really relying on is the Cocoon from Elise, the stun from Hanser, and of course the shuffle from Doxa.
And B, you look at the opposite side of the map, Golden Guardians Challengers, they have a lot of crowd control to bring to this party. Yeah. Rosethorn can have spectacular engages onto these backlines, really tear apart TSM. Follow through that you'll have from Young, Array, Concept. They can do work here. I do like this for Golden Guardians. I mean, they have much more flexibility on how they want to approach this game, but apparently we're approaching it with a 5v5 from the get-go. Just a little skirmish going down in these bot bushes.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it goes. You move as 5 to help set up those Heimer turrets. So TSM want to make sure that rush control doesn't go the way of Array and Prismal. Already off to a decent start here. Of course, Dragku being a little annoying as well. This is an exciting pick, only because I'm really interested to see how Dragku is going to be laning here, especially because we are used to seeing him on the more engaged picks. Yesterday, he played, I believe it was Nautilus and a Mumu, and looked pretty good on those picks. So this is definitely a different look.
Very, very different look from TSM as a whole. As we do get the votes coming in, seems people are starting to lean in the direction of TSM. And I mean, again, this is still a very, very experienced roster. You know, we talked a lot on week number 1 about 2017 TSM, but that doesn't really follow a lot of what happened afterwards from 2017 onwards, right? Svenskeren spent a lot of time with Cloud9, was a big leader for their academy team back in 2018. I even got to go to Worlds with them. Wild Turtle, summer 2020, was so close to beating his old org, TSM, in a 5-game war with FlyQuest. No, these players have been putting in a lot of work, even despite those old times with TSM.
Yeah, definitely been around the block. We're starting to see if they still got it. So far, it's been not bad from TSM, especially with the addition of Doxa and Dragku, these 2 new players into the system, especially for Doxa, who hasn't really played at this level before. And that's why I think, honestly, despite the early maybe concerns, they seem to look promising. Even before Dragku got here, again, I saw improvements. I saw better play coming through slowly but surely. And now that the squad that they were hoping for from the start is here, this is where it really starts to develop for TSM.
This is the closest the voting has ever been in chat, I believe. We've been bouncing back and forth from 50% for quite some time, so audience expectations are this game is going to be a banger. Svenskeren can start up that banger, now looking to target towards bottom side, this pathing, skipping the blue buff as well.
Up, it's just the full clear top side until level 3. You hope you can get something here, but of course, Array and Prismal, they know. They set up the early vision, and I think that's important because not only can this lane, I think, be a little difficult for Array and Prismal, you have to be careful of Svenskeren, because for TSM's comp, even though they have that bit of scaling, they have damage and ways to teamfight late game, you really want to get the ball rolling from now. And that's why you're going to see Svenskeren on this Elise. You want to start getting these early ganks off, getting these successful kills so that you can get your team to a win.
Hunter has been doing so well in lane, so let's target that lane and take him down for first blood. Quick it was. You blink, you miss it. Golden Guardians will take the first kill on the game.
Nice and easy. Hunter even flashed for the outplay. Wasn't able to make it happen, and that's something we could see Rosethorn take advantage of early on, but at the moment, one good deed deserves another, Eric, as Svenskeren is looking bot.
All right, Svenskeren looking to lead this right now, but the teleport coming in from Concept. Svenskeren has to head for the heals. Caught by the deadly flourish. A chain of crowd control from Golden Guardians. TSM have been off more than they can chew. Concept will walk forward, holding that stick, ready to bonk onto Dragku for a double kill. And the deadly flourish gets another stun. Is it going to be a triple? A dream start for the Golden Guardians bot lane.
Oh, it doesn't get any better than that. Concept immediately teleports to this play here, knowing that Haunter didn't have that advantage any longer because of the dive. Of course, a lot of gold, XP, going to be lost because of the time Concept spent here. But oh my goodness, is it worth it? This Sivir lost so much of this laning phase because Dragku goes down. Jungler goes down on top of using Flash.
All right, Doxa looking for a play in the mid lane. Svenskeren, Cocoon goes out. Stun is found. Should be one more auto handed off to Doxa. No, instead, Svenskeren will take that kill. Something finally returned over by TSM, but Svenskeren will have to deal with Rosethorn immediately after. Securing the smite, however. Jungle Skirmish, Prismal, now roaming up into the mid lane, Permafrost.
Wow.
Ooh, doubling up on the stun. Are you kidding me? This is absolutely vicious. Using the plant to try and get away, but you cannot escape. One more auto from Rosethorn puts Svenskeren in the dirt.
My God, this early game has been just going perfectly for Golden Guardians. They're getting everything they want. The Raptors respawn is there for Rosethorn. This is actually such a big loss for Svenskeren, dying twice now, losing that extra experience from this camp, and Haunter is just here to make sure Rosethorn doesn't overstay his welcome. But overall, Golden Guardians, we talked about how TSM needed to get off on the right foot, and so far, it looks like they're just left-footed.
Yeah, they're going to be behind for quite some time. Keep in mind, Svenskeren trying this gank. We already saw a successful one go off on the top side, so Concept was just waiting for the time.
Right, and you can see it. The turret placement is actually really good here. You can tell they expected it. The pink ward is out and everything. So Array and Prismal had this plan in mind, and they knew, especially with Concept coming through, that this was a play they could absolutely go for. And Concept, was just perfect. Managed to use the leap strike, helped secure that second kill. And now this lane is all Array and Prismal, man. And honestly, even though we saw the play mid lane come through from this gank onto Young, I think what we saw from Prismal was a really great roam coming through here. Right off the reset, he comes mid. Oh, wait a minute.
Ooh, Rosethorn getting low. Sub 100 health. Haunter kind of low as well. Concept thinking about possibly hopping onto the gator. Quite dangerous. There's many more critters lurking in this top side, so Concept not going to pull the trigger just yet. Haunter a little bit too healthy.
And something I want to point out too is that Concept is even actually slightly ahead in CS. Despite the big wave he lost, despite the teleport to that bottom side, he's managed to get it back. So realistically, it's a net positive. It's an entire positive for Golden Guardians, who now at this point, the world is their oyster, Eric. They can go for this dragon. They can set up for the Rift Herald. They can do whatever they want.
Now setting up, Rosethorn over by the dragon, does have Prismal being pulled over. Not going to notice. They have to have some idea, because I did see Prismal setting up turrets over there. Likely not even going to try and risk anything just because of that lane priority going bot side.
Yeah, I mean, there's no option at this point. You just want to farm. Svenskeren, of course, is going to do take a look-see. Oh, wait a minute.
Crowd control. Golden Guardians, they keep chaining it, and they keep chaining it, and now Svenskeren is going to fall victim for the third time. The spider will go splat.
And it's that long-range setup from Array. They can look for more.
Oh, on the hunt, being grabbed by Young. Looking for the snare onto Wild Turtle, won't be able to grab it. Doxa sliding back out, but Golden Guardians, this early game is phenomenal beat.
Yeah, this is brutal. Like, Array picks up another kill, is now 3-0, and is just going to be a monster for the rest of this game as long as all things go well. TSM struggling. Your only saving grace is that both Doxa and Wild Turtle are farming pretty well. They're still going to get to those key item spikes that you're hoping for, but just Array so very accelerated and is at this point where you can leave him on his own. Prismal is free to roam whenever he sees fit. And I think that's an advantage of the lead that they've gotten so far. And also the thing with Caitlyn's support, not as much dive threat in the 2v1 situation.
So this is where I'm going to look towards Svenskeren to take that leadership role a little bit more for TSM, right? You're on the Elise, the early game's not going well. You have to recuperate and recover and just pick your lanes as carefully as you can. You know, he did say in that interview that he's trying to come in without an ego. He wants to be in that leadership role and help out Doxa grow and learn. Well, it's moments like this where that leadership's going to shine out the most if you can get this ship to recover from the rough early game that we've been having for TSM.
Right, and we've seen countless examples over time, Eric, for how teams are able to face these situations and have someone who is level-headed enough. I mean, Insanity is an easy example from last year, talking about how in those situations, a game in particular, where he told them, like, guys, we're fine. It's fine. We're going to win. And being able to keep everyone calm and collected, yes, in that situation, I think is super valuable. And I agree. We will need to see that from Svenskeren on top of more plays, because at least from behind, I mean, we've all seen it. It feels terrible.
And Spider goes splat. Well, Counter-Strike over on the top side, looking to take down the Gator. Perma stun! My word! TSM are not allowed to play League of Legends beat.
They aren't, but at this point, Concept, okay, just making sure the wave ends up going through. But it is, like, Golden Guardians are the fun police right now. Rosethorn is taking advantage of every opportunity. It's been part of 4 out of the 6 kills we're seeing. And it's just only getting worse. You get so much space on the map with leads like this, too. Prismal gets to do this.
No way. A Prismal gang coming in from the Heimer, but will not get the grenade stun. Regardless, it's still a bit of chip damage, and it shows you just how big the cojones of this Heimerdinger walking around the rift, owning the place, how big they are, B.
Pretty big so far. And I mean, it's been a big early game for Golden Guardians. You even talked about how, you and I think have talked about how Prismal has said that he's trying to be that voice for the team, much like, you know, I may need to hold that thought.
Yeah, you just might need to, because Array's getting ganked on. A shutdown found. Bottom side, Wild Turtle able to grab that. Continuing the chase. Ace in the hole goes out. Prismal still going to stay alive, but Wild Turtle wants Prismal's head. Will look to cleave it down, but the heal coming through. Wild Turtle might come up empty-handed. Down goes the turret. The stun. Concept has arrived to put one more bonk into the turtle. Young going for the chase onto Doxa. Emperor's Divide will stop that. And TSM, they get a kill onto Array, but they're losing more. Already lost 2. They might lose Doxa on top of it. They are, as Young getting the chase onto Doxa.
And everything TSM get for themselves is negated by the follow-up from Golden Guardians. It just keeps getting worse. And you're only saving Grace's plate on the top side. Yes, Wild Turtle gets a big shutdown onto Array. But is it worth it, Eric? Don't answer that, because the answer is definitely no, especially with Dragku under threat.
Oh, poor Dragku. Svenskeren trying to get there. Flash away. Nice flash out of Dragku. Now Svenskeren on the follow. Can't get the kill onto Rosethorn. Will be able to secure it. Will not chase through for Young, but some silver linings being grabbed. The only shame there is Dragku. That Caitlyn's support.
Yeah, we're seeing the lethality come through, but it is a tough one. And it just shows that Prismal has had the runt of the map here as far as support roams go. Again, there is only so much you can do as a Caitlyn. My impression is that you want to be doing really well in that laning phase. And with that gone, what do you have? You have the Umbral Glaive, which is nice. You'll be able to at least get some vision and contest with what Prismal's laying down. But it's Prismal who is just all over the map here. And it starts in this replay. Yeah. Realistically, this cover from Dragku, this bait, was so important because it's what allowed Svenskeren to get the shutdown, but it's that chase that happened after. One, Svenskeren has to run away, is out of the picture, and actually he ends up falling anyway, and Wild Turtle, he knows he's in too deep. He's just got to go for broke at this point, and unfortunately, he gets broke.
Prismal's Heimer is such a joy to watch. Concept flashing back over the wall, realizing, oh, nope, I don't want to be on this side. I don't have property on this side. So Svenskeren finds a shutdown onto Concept. That's a good chunk of gold going back over to TSM's top side. The only thing is, a Renekton isn't exactly going to scale, B.
Yeah, I mean, you will, with gold, especially with this Gourd Drinker build, be a nuisance in the front line, and you can still blow somebody up like Array or Prismal, but it's tough because there's a lot of CC to work with. We talked about it in draft. It's so hard for Hanser to be able to get on top of someone like Prismal when you have Rosethorn and Concept in the way.
Drill the Hunt being used in the mid lane. Wild Turtle backing off. Finally, Hanser gonna grab that tower.
That's a lot of gold.
Yeah, that's a lot of gold. That's first brick. They actually got it before Golden Guardians could get first brick in the bottom.
Yeah, can we take a look at the gold differences here? Because Golden Guardians were ahead for a long time, but the switch up is starting to come through where TSM are actually finding themselves slightly ahead. But I have a feeling it's largely on this top jungle here. Haunter's gotten so many turret plates since Concept has been spending so much time taking off every opportunity to get out of lane and help the rest of his team. But what will that amount to in team fights is what I'm worried about for TSM. Yeah, you're going to be really strong inside. 1v1, I'm not sure anybody is going to really be able to duel you at this point in the game. But what are you going to offer in these team fights? And I think that's the problem that TSM have had in general in some of their losses. Haunter gets these big leads, but either due to draft or gameplay, they aren't able to take advantage.
We go Haunter versus Concept on the top side. Svenskeren over the wall, trying to stop the cavalry that's now charging in onto the gator. Concept will just easily pick up that kill. And this is what we're seeing right here. Golden Guardians, they have so much crowd control, and they've been stacking it beautifully. They can do it from far range here. Svenskeren, Cocoon onto Rosethorn, sidestep, will get away from the ultimate, but not the onslaught looking to follow through. Out comes a ward, gives Svenskeren a place to run to. Golden Guardians still throwing around TSM, even with TSM keeping up in gold.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, once you take Haunter out of the picture, that gold lead that they had isn't really existent, Eric, because a lot of gold is on this Renekton, and everyone else is just surging right now. Array, Mythic, so much gold to his name. You're seeing Mythics come online across the board for everyone, of course, but when you think about how these comps are interacting, the Golden Guardians just have such an easier time. And Svenskeren, you can see he's trying. He's trying.
And Golden Guardians, they just keep engaging. They see one member of TSM and they go for the engage, because TSM, they don't have a front line. They don't have
What are
much
you worried about?
They see Hero, they're going to engage on Hero.
It's just that simple, especially when you have the Sejuani. You can just Arctic Assault on cooldown if you really want to here, but TSM, they don't want to let this Herald go without a fight. I don't think they have a choice, though.
I don't know. This is tough. No ultimate for Prismal. Maybe you got a chance. Svenskaren's able to get the steal. Rosethorn looking for more, but here comes Concept. Stun on the backline. Triple. Ooh, there is a shutdown found, and it's landing onto the spider. Haunter has to bail out. Still, Svenskeren will get the steal. It cost him his life, and there's going to be no Rift Herald for TSM.
That's right. They don't actually end up picking the eye. They give away a lot of gold in the process. You do deny some damage onto structures, so that's something that TSM can be happy with. But so far, nothing else to really show for this game, Eric. 2 dragons over to Golden Guardian side. Every objective except for that one has been going their way, and it's TSM now who just have to claw their way back into this one. I'm trying to think of like what the options really are. At this point, it's Svenskeren trying to play to a side lane, and by a side lane, at this point, like it's realistically Haunter. He's someone who might be able to make something happen. You catch Concept isolated, and you make that 2v1 play, that can get you some space on the map. Maybe once Doxa, or actually now that Doxa has the Sork Shoes, has the Leandries, he might be someone you can play to as well, but it's tough because Young's in a good spot, Eric.
I mean, Doxa's been keeping up in lane. There's at least that going for him. Azir scales incredibly well. I always get the same concern, which is just you got no front line, which means you're not looking to take a 5v5 outright. 5v5s go straight to Golden Guardians because of the tools that they have. So instead, they'll try and take skirmishes, and they're looking for one in the bottom lane onto Concept. Concept getting stunned up, but it's returned full fold onto Svenskeren. Meanwhile, a fight, bottom lane. Doxa looking to run away from Young, but Young will rip him apart. Golden Guardians marching forward. Recall coming through. Will not be noticed by Golden Guardians.
Oh, Svenskeren.
No, Svenskeren. Svenskeren with the bait finds Array.
Oh, that's a big pickup. That's something, especially with 20 seconds till this next dragon. That's why you're seeing the teleports come through. Immediately, Concept is going mid. Gonna see if they can get the turret. At the very least, try and get this mid wave in. But, I mean, with 7 seconds on Doxa, teleport on the way, this could be an objective that TSM go to play for here, especially with Young on the other side of the map. But for the moment, Golden Guardians will take their prize as we go to this replay to see exactly what happened here. And, I mean, he just found him. That's all it is. Silas... Young has had a pretty decent lead for himself, and it shows here. He's not afraid to scrap it out. So much confidence, and he just runs Doxa down.
I mean, Young on these melee mages is an absolute beast. We saw it back on the AoE main roster where they got, what was it, like top 12? The only team that did better was AGT. Yep. Got to pay respects to him. Now Dragonfight coming out. Young looking to... either you pay respects or you're going to have it dealt to you as Young stands on that flank right now, waiting to pop that Thrill the Hunt. Oh, it is now. Moving speed going through. Concept on the flank, looking to hop onto Doxa. Oh, there it is. The counter strike.
Oh, big stun.
Draku getting stunned up, and it's a big stun for Golden Guardians as they'll run head first into TSM. Svenskeren falls. Draku critically low. Concept looking for more. There it is. A deadly flourish for a deadly double. Array will pick up the ace.
And deadly is how you could describe Golden Guardians, Eric. They have just been a nuisance, a menace to TSM and TSM fans as they just continue to take and take and take as they will claim their soul points here for the Hextech Soul. And you'll see it in the replay. You said it. Young had the on the hunt, the thrill of the hunt, and he used it immediately, jumps in and buys time and gains space for Concept with the stopwatch to be able to jump in there, get such a big stun, and that's it, Eric. As soon as you are able to close the gap on TSM's comp, with your lead, you have nothing to worry about. There's nothing left for you to do but win.
That's what we're talking about. 5v5. Golden Guardians can't be touched. The gold lead was rather even right when that fight did happen, and Golden Guardians just ran right through TSM. You have no front line. You have no chance of matching them in the 5v5. You might not have a chance of matching them at all. When they walk into your jungle, they're not just taking the red buff, they're taking your life.
Eric, I see champion, I jump on champion. That's the motto. And they're doing it again.
See Doxa? Jump on Doxa. Doxa now dead.
It's just perfect and simple here. Now, Golden Guardians, I think, continue to just exert dominance all across the map here. And they're just going to go ahead and get the Baron. Two key members of TSM out of the picture. Who is really going to stop you here at this point, especially with Hanser on the other end of the map? At this point, he's just going for the split. I don't even think they realize what's going on, or it's just that acceptance where like, hey, man, well, what are we supposed to do? We can't do anything about this Baron.
It's Svenskeren. Okay.
That's
all right. There we go. We got something. Svenskeren was able to get a kill. One Baron buff off the map. We take those.
Yeah, that's something. A small something, but that's something.
We take those.
Yeah, we take those. And I want to see if we can just take a look at the gold just to see where everybody's at. Because we're at this point where, like, this is difficult. The only one really keeping pace is Wild Turtle, who finds himself down 700 gold, roughly less than 1,000, something to be happy about. But mid, Young is up 4,000 gold on his opponent, Eric. What is that?
They're just being so mean to Doxa. Once they got that lead going, they aren't stopping. I mean, Rosethorn, for example, being on this Sejuani, all this engage that he provides, he's quite the feisty player. We saw it last year, early stages of CLG in the Viego play, while now doing it on tank engagers and saying, this is the reason you pick me up. Bot lane siege coming through, deadly flourish, a root, Baron empowered as Golden Guardians. They feel very, very confident at this angle. Prismal just through the wall, looking for a setup on the stun. I wouldn't be surprised if Golden Guardians just outright went for the team fight with how strong their comp is.
You don't even have to. Like, you have this next wave coming through. Concept is escorting the mid wave as well. You want to break TSM apart to make this one easier. You dive, even with your lead, there's a chance some funny business can go down, and you don't want to take those risks as TSM. But now you pull Hanser away. I mean, Hanser was the only real frontliner they had, and at that point, he's pseudo-frontline. So now the dive is possible, and now Golden Guardians, you can see they're fishing.
Yeah, looking for it. Deadly Flourish will not land on Svenskeren. No ultimate for Rosethorn. Sven's going to be okay. But the goal, mission accomplished really for Golden Guardians. They grabbed that bot lane inner tower. Concept still leading a wave over with that 1:45 before we get that Infernal Drake. That's something we have to keep a very close eye on because Infernal Soul Point currently for Golden Guardians, now rotating to the mid to continue the siege.
And it's just brutal. They're just systematically, one at a time, taking down these outer turrets. Prismal trying to get a little payback for what Svenskeren did to him, costing him his Baron buff, but it's only a little payback here as they just continue to escort wave after wave, and now they pressure bot to mid. They're going to go mid to top, excuse me, and that's going to be another tier 2 out of the picture.
Young taking it quite quickly there. Threatens as he postures forward. TSM paying respects. Rosethorn standing on the flank, has the ultimate available, but who's going to step forward? Who is going to be the member who makes that mistake?
Oh, Draku.
Ooh, is it going to be Draku?
Okay.
Built over Peacemaker will get some idea. No, you had to have heard the sound effect.
Yeah.
Draku will get picked off, and Golden Guardians now feeling great with the siege.
Young
over the wall. Young will follow. Doxa gets dropped. It's a trade of mid laners.
And that's something, a shutdown. You get back into your pockets, but it's 1-for-1. Technically favors TSM, but there's still the Baron to contend with. There's still long-range damage, as we're seeing for Golden Guardians, and they've done a perfect job of just keeping this vision line pushed up. You look on the bottom side of the jungle here for TSM, and it's just Ward City for Golden Guardians. It's so dangerous for TSM. They know they have an opportunity now to push out mid a little bit and start clearing up vision, but by the time that's done, Golden Guardians, they're going to be back and ready to walk into the river to claim the prize, the Hextech Soul, and what should be the nail in the coffin for TSM.
I got baited by the timer again. Hextech.
I know. There's no indicator yet. We'll get there one day.
Oh, TSM. This looks like a last stand coming out for them. They got to be the first ones to get into the river to even have a chance to 5v5 against Golden Guardians. But I don't even think that's going to be enough. Concept on the flanks and Scarin on the opposite end. Flashes over the wall to get towards the Drake. Caught out by Young, who pops the Dominus and will take down the Spider. Rosethorn onto Doxa. Concept onto Hanser. Following the Hexgate, Array will show up to play. A double kill by Young. Deadly Flourish finds the Rune in the flash.
Oh, he wants him.
Concept will tear apart Hanser. And now they got the Gator. They want the Turtle as well. They'll take down all the reptiles at the zoo. Golden Guardians find 4.
And now they're going to claim their prize after a brief respite is going to be that soul. And they're just going to keep on pressuring here. You just need one person at this point to go ahead and get the dragon. But Golden Guardians as a unit, they're knocking on the base's doors. And TSM fans, most of them watching from the gray screen, just quake at what Golden Guardians are doing.
And this hurts so much. A lot of this Rosethorn Concept, they were phenomenal during this game in the early stages. Rosethorn getting that gank onto Hanser, follow through by Concept, then Concept teleporting down. Ever since then, it's been a snowball effect where Scarin can't find ganks, can't find plays, and Golden Guardians are just running away with it.
We're seeing it. What happens when this composition from TSM falls behind early because of that teleport play? It just doesn't work out for TSM, and we're going to replay of the fight just before the Dragon. Young going beast mode, of course, as he has been all game. It's just been so easy at this point for Golden Guardians to be able to apply this pressure. And I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure Deadly Flourish has not been missed, except if, like, Scarin does a repel or something. Like, anytime someone's on his screen, Array hits those. Like, that's crazy.
And yeah, Jin's his bae. This is an Array champion. That's what I remember from the old amateur days of Array. He looks great when he's able to get going. And a scoreline of 7-9 beat. I say
that going? Yeah, I was going to say. And Golden Guardians, they're going to go ahead and go for the Baron. Again, you have Hanser constantly on the split, seeing what he can take away. But he's no Fiora, Eric. He's not going to be able to split push to a win here. But maybe 3/5 of TSM will be able to.
Are we death pushing?
You know what?
We're death pushing. Let's go.
That's where we're at.
Let's go.
STSM. That's all you got. The thing is, if it's Young, he might live long enough for the team to show up. Maybe.
Oh, we're death pushing. Okay. You got to get Young.
Oh, they know.
They know.
Oh, he wants it.
No way. Young going after Drake, who does get popped in the process. Rosethorn will continue the fights from Scarin. Oh, so low gets dropped. Drake, who chased down by the boar, and Hanser slain by Array. It was a good attempt at the death push, but the death goes the other way, Nate.
It does, and I mean, one did go over to Young. He got permastunned so well, he couldn't pop the Zanyas, but that aside, once again, it's Golden Guardians. The desperation just isn't working for TSM at the moment here. And even though Wild Turtle escapes, what does he have to show for it? 10k down, base almost in shambles, and with another Baron buff in tow, this could be the last stand.
What a display from Golden Guardians. You know, this roster, it's something where they're looking for development. They said it at the start of the year. It's not in service to the LCS team. It's in service to the entire org and getting this talent going. Well, this talent is moving right now as they siege up one, looking for the close. Will continue through, taking down Doxa. Concept gets Wild Turtle. Following through, there's not much that can be found for TSM. Golden Guardians, they're shining bright right now as they set an inferno to the TSM base.
And it's just pure and utter destruction, Eric, as the curtains open up for one last performance as Golden Guardians close the game here for game 1. God damn.
And Golden Guardians, they're looking completely different this season. It's a different take, but it's one that is working. This team is clicking. They've had a lot of big battles, but this looked clean from Golden Guardians.
I think so, and I think we quick props over to Rosethorn. I mean, the fact is we praise the teleport from concept to level 1 early on in the early phase, but I mean that advantage he got to let him do that was off of Rosethorn.
What can you really say about that one? It was a great performance for Golden Guardians, and we'll see if they can continue that. But first, we got to bring Kangas back. We're going to throw it over a short break. We'll have our halftime segment once we return.